Well, hello once more and welcome to RMTV, the online station that brings you up to date on the industries where RMT members are working. We're joined today by the union's Senior Assistant General Secretary Mick Cash, and we're going to be talking about Network Rail and some issues on the bus industry. But first on Network Rail, I understand that talks are still underway at ACAS. Can you bring us up to speed there, please, Mick?
Yes, we have been intensive discussions at ACAS, under the auspices of ACAS with Network Rail senior management. The aim of the talks is to come up with a set of proposals that the union can consider as a way of resolving the problems we've got over the job cuts and the terms and conditions changes that the company have planned to, in order that they want to save 20% over the next 5 years as a result of the cuts imposed by the Office of the Rail Regulator. The current state of play is that we're near completion with those discussions. We have a meeting with our area council reps planned for the 30th of July, where we're going to report back on the latest state of play. We would hope to have a set of proposals confirmed by then. But whatever happens, it will be the members, RMT members, who will be making the final decision on wherever we go with this particular issue.
If we can turn to the bus industry now, Mick, it's been a long-standing objective of the union to reduce the number of hours that bus drivers have to spend behind the wheel before they get a break. Can you bring us up to speed on the campaign there, please?
Yes, the union has a long-standing objective, which is actually in our bus workers' charter, which we've had for a number of years now, to ensure the maximum amount of driving time that a bus worker has is limited to 4.5 hours. Currently, it's 5.5 hours under the domestic hours regulations. If you're covered by the European hours regulations, it's 4.5, and we want to see parity. Now, we believe that there's a clear safety reason for doing that, and there's a campaign which is emphasis on improving safety for bus drivers and for passengers to ensure that the maximum should be 4.5 hours, as well as some other initiatives. It's still at early stages, that campaign, but what we seek to do is put pressure on bus operators and the politicians to ensure there's a level playing field for our members and ensure both the safety of our members and passengers.
So a two-pronged attack. There's the industrial aspect. Presumably that will be involved in pay claims and that kind of thing as they progress to get that built in.
Well, it's not just about a pay claims per se. It's about actually getting bus operators across the piece who seem to make huge profits out of the industry to recognise that 5.5 hours in the seat driving time is unsafe. So we want to get the bus operators, the big groups, to recognise this. So we need to talk to the bus operators. There's no good one bus operator doing 4.5 hours if the others are then going to continue to 5.5 hours. We want it across the industry, but we also recognise that we need to change legislation as much, because there'll be some operators who may not want to do so, and there's a clear rationale for safety reasons for doing it in our view.
And so presumably the union will be calling on the parliamentary group to progress it in the political sphere as well as in the industrial.
Indeed, we're now looking at how we can promote the campaign both within the industry, outside with community groups, with councils, but also with our parliamentary group to get it in Parliament, because ultimately that's where we can get a guarantee. The legislation at this moment in time that's in place was carried through by Parliament, and we want to see if Parliament can actually change it and modify it so that whether you're on driving under European regulations, where it is 4.5 hours, or whether you're driving under domestic hours regulations, it should be the same.
Staying with the bus industry, Mick, obviously the massive cuts programme being put in place by the new government is going to affect every single person across every single service in the country. But on the bus industry, there's the alarming prospect of the abolition of the bus service operators grant, and obviously RMT is opposed to that.
Yes, we are. The grant effectively is a subsidy to the bus industry. It's worth somewhere in the region of £500 million a year, If you take the condemned government want to abolish it, from what we understand, we're opposed to that, along with other transport groups and other trade unions. But if you take £500 million out of the bus industry in these difficult times, you will see cuts, particularly in rural areas where we've got a lot of members. So we're opposed to it. We'll be doing all the campaign we can to prevent it. We'll be saying to the condemned government they weren't given a mandate to do this, and it's going to hit the poorest and less well-off people in the country, particularly people like pensioners, because what bus companies will do if they get less income is they'll cut services, which will obviously mean less service to the less well-off in our country, and also that means job losses.
But of course that also throws into quite sharp relief the union's long-standing objective for the bus industry to see it back in the public sector, because obviously if the grant is cut, we'll still have private operators still taking money out of the industry that should really be going towards funding the services.
Indeed, because the private operators are in there to make a profit, and if they've got less income coming, they will look at ways of maintaining their profit levels, because that's what they're there for. And our members will be in the meat and the sandwich between cutting costs and the shareholders. So we're seeking to ensure that overall it's in line with our general policy. We want to see the industry brought back in-house. We want to regulate more, to stop privatisation and actually reverse it. But at this moment in time, the concentration is going to be on trying to stop this condemned government getting rid of that grant, because the more immediate priority is to keep that money in the system, because we don't, we'll see cuts to services and cuts to jobs.